Jenny from Truth Wave Media. Today it's my great honor to have Principal Prater to be with us and share about her experience with us.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Welcome, Ms. Prater.
Thanks.
Ms. Prater is the principal of Fellowship Christian School, which is a Christian school located in Germantown, Maryland.
It's good to be here.
Thank you. First, may I ask you to briefly introduce your background?
Sure. Well, I grew up in a Christian school. So my parents were both, dad was a principal, mom was a Christian school teacher. So I literally grew up in a Christian school. And so it's really important, I guess, to me. I got to go to a Christian school all the way from preschool all the way through college. And even grad school and beyond. So I value Christian education very much. I've been teaching in a Christian school for most of my adult life, and I've just spent most of my life in a Christian school. So it's a big part of making me who I am, and just a big part of how I spend every day.
Great. I know that you spent 11 years in South Korea. Is that right?
I did. I was an English teacher over in South Korea, and kind of a very well-paid missionary. I taught at a private school over there, not a Christian school, but a private school. Had an excellent boss who, as long as what I taught the children was in English, I was pretty free to say what I wanted to, and so I got to teach them about Christ and teach them English, obviously, at the same time, and learned a lot. I think the Lord was preparing me for my job here at Fellowship. So yes, spent 11 years over there. Loved it.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't believe I live in a totally different culture and involved and with the teaching there and enjoy your life there and different cultural.
Yeah, very much.
Quite something.
Yeah, I think the Lord taught me probably a love for Korean people, yes, but also I got to travel. I got to travel to China, got to travel to Japan and India, and around Europe a little bit while I was there. Over, it's literally on the other side of the world. And so he really opened my eyes to different cultures, certainly different languages, but just kind of the different cultures and different ways of doing things. I think here in America sometimes we get used to just our way, and I didn't grow up that was the only way of doing things, but certainly grew up maybe that's the best way. But when you spend 11 years in another country, you figure out that there are definitely other ways of doing things, and I think the Lord definitely taught me that while I was abroad.
Great. I think that definitely prepare you for your position now.
Absolutely.
In a multicultural environment.
Yes. Fellowship Christian School is definitely that. When I take people around here, last year, we had 16 countries represented. And I think we actually have a few more than that this year. We've gotten a few other countries into our school. And I think, I tell people this is kind of a little touch of heaven. The kids, with all the issues we have nowadays, with racism or whatever, here at FCS, we have every color of the rainbow here in our school. And the kids, honestly, we teach them the biblical principles of kindness and that kind of thing, but to be honest, the kids just see kids. They see, we on staff even, we have different cultures and nationalities, but for other children, they just see other children. And so I think that's really important, that you teach them the biblical principles of kindness and love of God, but also help them understand that, God made each one of us, and from being around other cultures, you certainly have to accept, the differences, but also realizing that, in Christ, He made us, so we're not really all that different, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I always want to use a metaphor. We are all like different kinds of flowers in a garden.
Absolutely.
Being our Heavenly Father.
Right.
We have a pretty garden with all kinds of flowers.
Absolutely.
Isn't that beautiful? So how big is your school? You have elementary, preschool?
We do. We have 2.5-year-olds. They're the cutest little ones, right? And then we kind of grow up into the 5th grade. So pre-K is the 2.5 to 4-year-olds, and then kindergarten up through 5th grade. And the 5th grade definitely are not as cute as the little tiny ones, but Lord willing, in a couple years we'll have a middle school. We're working, I'm part of the building committee, so we are working on that. We have some active plans for that. But right now, we have about 110 elementary students, and a normal non-COVID number is about 110 preschool students as well. So we're working on next year being back up to that in the preschool.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
You know, the past year has been quite a challenge for a lot of people because of the COVID.
Absolutely.
And Fellowship Christian School was among the very few schools that decided to reopen the campus. So tell me about the decision-making process. How I really admire your courage at that moment back to last fall, where everybody is still staying at home very cautiously and with fear. How did you make this decision of reopen the school?
You know, Jenny, we prayed a lot. July and August, I mean, even back to, you know, we just passed the 1-year mark, but last summer we just prayed a lot. And honestly, you know, our goal as a school, we know we had some goals to meet, and we know we have a place in this community. And so we just decided, you know what, we're going to open. We are going to open on August 31st. That was our first day of school. We sent out the materials. We have kids registered. This is what's going to happen. And literally it was just a by faith step that we said, you know, we had parents call, are you going to open? Are you sure? And we were, I just told my staff, I was like, we are going to open, guys. And, you know, and even then, you know, the health executive was like, you are not going to open. And I was like, guys, we're going to open, you know, and of course we're going to obey, you know, the powers that be, because that's biblical. But I was bound and determined and a little hard-headed that we are going to do this, guys. So we prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. And we did a lot of preparation, of course. There's, you know, practical matters of extra desks and spacing, and gallons and gallons and gallons of sanitizer and cleaners and all of that kind of stuff that went into it as well. You know, I bought lots of masks, and you even helped us with that kind of thing to prepare, you know, the physical side of it as well. And, you know, and talking. And we, you know, one of my teachers mentioned, you know, the professional development this year to get ready for school. Teachers' Days was actually very different, because it was like, okay, guys, this is the rules for starting school, you know. So there was a lot of, I would say a lot of prayer, but also a lot of actual physical preparation that went into it, and just determination, because, you know, I had to have my teachers on board too. Right? And they had to agree, and literally it came into August and said, you know, you just kind of give them a clean slate and say a yes or a no. If you don't want to come back, you don't have to. And every one of my teachers said, absolutely, I'm on board. Let's go. Let's do it. And so it was a huge kudos to them, because they came back. You know, I'm one person. I can't teach everything by myself. So they jumped in. They were on board. And, you know, we opened, and pretty successfully at that.
Wow,
so, huge.
That is huge. That is quite
right?
some responsibilities.
Yeah.
And
they jumped in.
Yeah, I really want to give a round of applause to the teachers, to the principals. You're just women of faith and courage.
Right. They are, and they know, you know what, they know God was with them every day, but they know that they have a huge job to do, right? I mean, we get kids every day. Some know Christ, some don't, but we get the chance to tell about him every day. And of course, educating as well. But it is a huge responsibility that we have, and we knew that, and we got to do it every day, and we got this extra chance with a lot of extra students this year.
Oh yes, and that actually created an opportunity of growth.
Absolutely, it did. With the county schools closed, we did grow this year, which was amazing. I hate COVID, but it did give us a huge opportunity. We did get an influx of students that probably would not have come. I mean, we're aware of that, but we did get a chance to minister to a lot of students that they came, and I would like to say Christian education is hands down the best education you can get, for a couple of reasons. Number one, academically, I think we're good. But a lot of people would never give us a chance because they would never say, oh, I'd like to pay for school. That's what I want to do. But because of COVID, they needed somewhere for their children to go because the schools were shut down. And so they came in, and this year they've realized, number one, your academics really are good. Number two, you love my kids. And of course, we know that we love them with God's love. You know what? Kids are kids. And so humanly speaking, you don't always actually like them, right? But God's love does give them something. And because we can love them as teachers and principals and aides with God's love, you can give them something. 1 Corinthians talks about, be followers of me as I am of Christ, right? So kids are going to do what their parents or what their teachers do. So if we're followers of Christ, then the kids can be followers of us, therefore followers of Christ. So I think that's a huge opportunity that we had, that we can direct them in the right way. And so those kids that came in, we are jumping at the opportunity to minister to, our elementary basically doubled in size this year because of that. And so the opportunity, I guess, was the key word you said, and it's just, wow, yes, what an opportunity we had this year.
Yeah. Is there a good chance that they might go back to the public school after, the COVID has passed? You know what?
We have Reenrollment started in February, and then open enrollment and that kind of stuff has already started, and we actually, enrollment looks really good for next year. A lot of people were like, yeah, after COVID passes and MCPS and other counties open up, your enrollment will drop then. It'll go back to closer to what it was. And to be honest with you, it's not. The Lord has, I think he's really touched lives, and he's used the teachers to show. And yeah, it was a challenge this year to be like, hey guys, I told my teachers, I want you to help the kids and also help the parents and be, a lighthouse, right? I tell my teachers that a Christian school is like a greenhouse, right? That's the idea of a Christian school, is like you bring these little kids into this school, and you cultivate them, and you water them, and you act like they're in a greenhouse, and you give them everything you possibly can from 9 to 8:45 to 3 or 6:30, however late they stay, to make them the best Christians with the deepest roots that they can have. And you just pour everything you can into them. They're not going to be here forever, of course, we know that. And some kids, maybe they're only here for this year, but some kids, maybe they're here longer. And so I think my teachers have they're fantastic, and they worked hard this year, and they are still working hard to do that. And it's really paid off, because these parents that we mentioned that weren't really sold on Christian education necessarily, they were sold on having their kids somewhere this year, now realize, hey, you guys are different, right? And we know that, but they know that now too. And so it's fantastic. They've seen that we do make a difference. And of course, Christ is the difference, but they've seen that, Christian education there's more to it than just an alternative to public school. It's not just that. So yeah, I think from registration, we are keeping most of, 95% of the students are going to stay, and I'm thrilled about that, because it means that we're doing a good job.
Wow, excellent. That's quite a testimony, isn't it?
It is, and the glory goes to God, not us. I'm fantastically proud of my teachers, but definitely the glory goes to God, because He's brought us through this, and we're in March now, and it's hard to believe.
Yeah, I still remember what you said, that touched me a lot is even if those kids eventually go back after COVID passed, we still get this period of time to spread gospel with them.
Absolutely.
And it's worth it, even if they are just here for several months. I was so touched by your words.
Yeah.
On that, I believe the Heavenly Father has heard that, and He abundantly blessed the school.
Yeah.
And the students stay actually.
Right. I know He did, and you know, we've seen on a weekly basis, even a daily basis, but a weekly basis, we have chapel every Wednesday upstairs in the elementary, and on a weekly basis we see, you know, spiritual barriers being broken down. We see spiritual fruit, you know, starting to take like blossom. You mentioned flowers earlier, you know, just blossoming little, you know, and that's why we're here, right? I mean, they're gonna learn, and academically, yeah, they will learn in a public school. I don't like everything they learn there, but yeah, they will learn. But here, you know, it's the awesome fruit that you can see spiritually that just blossoms out, and that the teachers are like, that's, you know, and so it is very rewarding. It's awesome to see, and God does let us see the little blessings throughout the year that just make it extra special.
Wow. I have some friends, some parents, they also are Christians, but they are just concerned that Christian education may be too expensive. And I checked your website, it only costs like $7,000 a year.
Right.
Which is, I think a lot of families actually can afford.
Right.
So how do you convince those parents that to come to Christian school while the public school is free?
Yeah. I guess I would look, and I think every parent would probably say, if I asked you your top priorities in life, I'm quite certain, and you have one son, so I'm quite certain that you would say that your boy would rank up there pretty high in your priorities in life. And so, you know, if any parent, you ask their priorities, their kids are always going to rank up there. And so for priorities, a child or children, multiple children, they're going to rank pretty high in a parent's priorities. And the children's future is obviously at the top of that list for their children, right? Toys for their children probably aren't going to be the top of the list. And when we're talking about a Christian education, that's what our priority is, you know, a child's future, and building you know, what a Christian education, you know, my personal, I guess, goal is in a Christian school is Luke 1:17, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord, right? And if parents want to do that, and if a Christian school wants to do that, then we're working together to do that for your children. And yeah, it is a lot of money. I mean, I you know, $7,000. I don't want to say, oh yeah, it's chump change. Come on, just throw it in the coffer and you can do this. It is an investment, but that's how I look at it, as an investment, right? You buy a house or you buy a car because it's a necessity. I absolutely think Christian education is a necessity, because I look at the public school and I look at the other kinds of education that you can have for your children, and quite frankly, what you're investing in your child when you send them to a public school, that philosophy that you're investing into your child and that you're putting into them every day is dangerous. You know, it really is. Versus, yes, it costs money, and it does because the government doesn't pay for it, but the rewards, you know, I have kids, you know, quoting scripture upstairs, and the investment, you know, the payback is amazing, but the investment that it is every day, you know, I don't know that there's any way you can do that on a daily basis and get the same reward. So yes, it costs money, and yes, it is a sacrifice, but I would absolutely say it's worth it every time. I don't know that any parent has ever gone through a Christian school with their child and then been like, oh, I really regret that. I'm really sorry I did that. I think it was a waste of money. I don't think any parent even this year would say to you, yeah, I wish I'd just stayed home. I think it was a waste of money. I don't think parents say that. I think that it really is worth it. So.
Right. I can see that you really have a love for kids. Is that something you feel like it's a calling from God?
Oh, I think it would have to be, because you know what, I mentioned before, my dad was a principal and my mom was a Christian school teacher, and so I think that the Lord has given me, most of the time, little ones like me, which I'm glad, because if they didn't like me, that would be difficult. But I do think that the Lord has given me, I guess, a burden for children. And so I do think that the Lord has called me to minister to children. And so then it would be a calling. It would be I guess, a burden that I have for the little ones, and that I can minister to them, and then they can be blessed by God through me.
Awesome. Yeah, so during the past year and during the many years that you are here as the principal, what are some challenges that you have encountered?
I think probably the hardest thing that I've done, probably the influx of growth this year. It probably was a little surprising, for sure. It was, doubling our elementary. All of a sudden, we used to be kind of a small school, and now we're like, wow, we're, doubling in size is for sure big. I think too that I pray often, the biblical idea of tongues. I know that there's a lot of different ideas on that. I pray for the ability of tongues that I think in Acts chapter 2, right, where the disciples could speak and everybody could understand. I feel like I would like to have that. I've asked God for that a couple times. He has not given it to me yet, but Google Translate is my best friend at times, because I talk and nobody understands. Sometimes even English doesn't understand. But because we are an international community, on my staff I have some Portuguese, I have some Chinese, of course I have some Korean, I have Spanish speakers, so that is really helpful, but not always being able to communicate 100% with the different languages. I love the fact that we're international, but I've called you before and been like, hey, can you talk to this person and explain, so that's really difficult, because I don't speak multiple languages, and that's sometimes a little tough. That's a challenge, I'll be honest. Yes. It's a blessing, but it is a challenge, of course. I do thank God for things like Google Translate, because they make my life easier. But that is something that, so for those of you that are multilingual, I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, it's just it's hard work, and we learn as we go in multiple areas. And space. I would love to have my own building, a very large building. So if you have like $5 million, Jenny, in your back pocket.
Well, yeah, I will pray for you.
Thank you. Yeah,
and pray that your dream come true.
Thank you very much.
And I believe it's great to have a vision.
Absolutely.
And to have a dream is very good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we're just so blessed to have a school here. And if you have time, you can check out the website, ncfcschool.org. ncfcschool.org. So this is the website of Fellowship Christian School, and you'll find a lot of resources there. It's based in Germantown, Maryland. And Principal Prater, do you have some words that last words you want to share with our audience?
Well, you know what? Fellowship Christian School, I am kind of partial because I am part of it, but I'm I'm humbled to be a part of this great ministry. We are part of New Covenant Fellowship Church, and our mission at the school is to give a great education in a Christ-centered environment, but to make servant leaders with a biblical worldview. And honestly, that's our goal, is to make servant leaders that have a biblical worldview, that can go out and serve Christ in this world. And I think that's what parents want. I think that's what the heart cry of every Christian parent is, to have their kid be a servant leader. You want kids that can lead, but you want them to do it with the servant's heart. And if that's what my graduates leave this school with, or even students that just depart after a year or two, I feel like I'm a success. So thanks so much, Jenny.
Well, it's so great to talk with you today. It's quite a blessing.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And thanks for watching.